the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Roll call, Lori.
Asplund,
Yes.
Bristol,
Here.
Asplund,
Here.
Brown,
Here.
Bankin,
Here.
Auguste,
Excused.
Fisher,
Excused.
no quorum.
All right. I get a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Roll call, Lori.
Asplund,
Yes.
Bankin,
Yes.
Bristol,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Asplund,
Yes.
motion carried.
Can I get a motion to approve the minutes from October meetings?
So moved.
Roll call, Lori.
Asplund,
Yes.
Bankin,
Yes.
Brown, Bristol, Asplund,
Yes.
motion carried.
All right. General public comment.
I have no hands raised.
And
Dan Dysinger from Grant Township. I've attended two meetings last Friday and then again today to the apportionment committee. I just have a couple of observations. I actually have two things that I'd like to make a comment about. First of all, it came to my attention that I'd heard about a month ago that there was a change and it was going to be from 7 to 9. And after attending last Friday's meeting, it became clear how that whole thing transpired. But I'm not here to really complain about the process of how that whole thing takes place. I think what my biggest issue is and this probably isn't the first time that it's happened with county government is, and I expressed that this morning and last Friday to some degree, although more this morning than I did last Friday. And if I go over the 3 minutes, just cut me off.
betcha.
Let him speak.
So
It's important.
basically what I found in reading through some of the stuff that Commissioner Bristol had forwarded to me, and then the way I understand it is that I believe, it's my belief that they violated the Open Meetings Act. There's probably some things that could be remedied, but some of it may not be. I'll just summarize everything in a nutshell. The only real way that you can remedy the issue that you have with that violation, the alleged violation or the purported violation of the Open Meetings Act, is to have do-overs. I'm not sure how many times they met. By the organizational minutes that I've seen, it appears that they set the schedule for every Friday in September and October. At last Friday's meeting, they indicated that they received no other public comment. And it was indicated that the notices for the meetings appeared on the courthouse door or on the exterior of visible from the courthouse doors, and then at the clerk's office. Well, if you understand the makeup over the last decade with the Open Meetings Act, they have made some changes, and one of those, and I'm not sure how long it's been active, but I think probably more than a decade, required to have those posted to the county's website. And just that abridgment by itself, which violates a couple specific chapters in the Open Meetings Act, I would think that in order for the remedy to occur, a do-over, requirement. As I suggested to the committee this morning, the real way to do that is, it's not a township issue, it's not Grant Township's issue, it's not any other township's issue, it's a county-wide issue. It belongs to the people in the county. And so I believe that the county commissioners need to find a way to remedy it through the legal process. And even if it is only a do-over, it solves the issue of the abridgment. If it probably wouldn't change the outcome, even by having the meetings at a do-over and having public comment at those meetings. But nonetheless, you cure the problem. If the commissioners don't take action to protect the people in Clare County for abridgment of the Open Meetings Act, then it would be my assumption, by no action, that the commissioners then condone any committee of the county to violate the Open Meetings Act. So that's really where I'm at. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just giving you the information as I see it from my perspective. That's what I shared with my township board last night at our meeting, and I said that I would carry the message to the county commission. I did this morning, and I'm carrying the same message to you. So that's really all I have to say. I think that the chairperson of the commission, of the apportionment commission, did a good job this morning explaining where their process was and what they think needed to happen. I think there was some confusion about where everybody complained, but the biggest word that I heard last Friday was lack of transparency. And so with that, I really don't need to make any other comments about it because I shared that with them. I appreciate being able to share that with the county commissioners. There's one other issue that I think is very important, and next year is an election year. I hear local governments constantly complain about unfunded mandates. I am an absolute hawk for unfunded mandates. The legislature has caused all local governments a lot of grief because of what they do. I don't need to probably tell you folks that. You're learning that as time goes on, and you have learned it or know it. I think it was last week, there was a piece of legislation that was passed that further usurps local government control. There's a pending, a similar issue that's pending in the Senate, the state Senate, and in regards to further usurpation of local governments. The one last week dealt with near-term rentals and then or bed and breakfast type varieties. It doesn't affect too much here in Clare County, but in the more resort communities, it's really a big issue. The one that's pending in the Senate deals with gravel pits and local control over how that goes. It should be a hands-off issue for the state government, simply because local governments would be better to control how that environment is. There's a lot of lobbying going on back and forth. What disturbs me is the legislation last week, if you look at the roll call, is that our own local representation basically voted against local government. Now, I'm not certain how often you see our local state representative or our state senator show up here in your chambers. But those are things that you need to confront those that are currently serving. And the reason I'm bringing it up is because, and because next year is an election year, you need to pointedly ask the question of those who might be seeking a representative office. You need to ask them the question how they view the provisions of Article 9 in the Michigan Constitution, more commonly known as Headley. I'm disappointed even with the MTA because there's some push to change aspects of the Headley Amendment. I think they're upset because of the tax limitation parts of it, but But as time progresses and as we get into next year, it would be in the best interest of the taxpayers in Clare County. If you have a visit, that question be asked of the individual that seeks to serve the people in this district. I have no idea how often a state rep shows up here, but I think it's probably pretty rare.
Got to ask them,
Mhm.
you know.
You have to ask him.
Yep. I
Well-
think that's a good idea, though.
Well, I.
Very good.
I realize that our local rep is the speaker of the House of Representatives in the state, but he lives 3 miles from the Grant Township Hall and we've never seen him at a Grant Township meeting. And that particular circumstance is a lot different. Maybe because he has the extra duties and so on, and I'm not cutting him short, except that I offer that criticism. But basically, when we get ready to change hands next year, and we'll have 2 opportunities, once in August and then again in November, it's good to know the positions of those that are seeking to be representatives. And the one individual that seeks to be the state representative sits on the Grant Township Board. And I've already had some pointed discussions with him. He's a trustee and a pretty intelligent fellow. And Tom understands what unfunded mandates mean. So that's really all I need to do. I've addressed the county commission before on unfunded mandates, and there's a lot of them. And we can get into all the specifics, but I don't think it's necessary. It's just that my points would be for the present commissioners to ask those questions, because I think they get forgotten when they want to talk about other issues, maybe social issues or other things like that. But the money issues are the most important, because if you don't have the money, you can't provide the social issues. So that's really all I have to say. I appreciate your time, and if I went over, I apologize.
You're fine, Dan. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks a lot.
Bet. Any other public comment? Okay. Any comments or questions on the communications list? Tracy?
I'll be rather quick. Been working with Matt Nordford on the union negotiations for the sheriff's department, preparing spreadsheets. We held an airport meeting on Monday and talked about several different things that we think we could do for fundraising and those types of things. Kim Connicott informed us that he did apply for the
Crack seal?
crack ceiling through the state of Michigan in the event that we're able to do that. So we are on that list. So next meeting is scheduled for February unless something else comes out, and then we'll be meeting on that sooner. Just a few things on legislative updates that I got from the Michigan Association of Counties. They talked about the infrastructure bill that's on the president's desk, about $10 billion coming to Michigan over a 5-year period to help with roads, airports, broadband, cybersecurity, brownfield restoration, and many other things. They talked about the 4-year county commission bills that are being reviewed right now by committee. And then one other thing I wanted to point out, they talked a little bit about the vaccine mandate that was to be imposed on employers with 100 employees or more. Which was going to require a vaccination policy and making sure that your employees are vaccinated, or if they're being tested when they come in, if they're not vaccinated, those types of things. But that has been put on hold right now by the Circuit Court of Appeals. They have granted a stay at this point. And then the only other thing, emergency management. Jerry Becker asked that I mentioned to you that he would hold a public officials training with the Michigan State Police sometime in the near future.
Great.
So we need to schedule that.
Mhm.
So
He would also like to be on the committee for the ARPA money.
Okay,
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, he'd like to be on it if the committee will. Yes. Do you have to interview him? Oh, okay. Can we just put him on or does he need to do anything or
that's not up to me.
Chief? Mhm.
More than welcome to attend the meeting.
Okay, good. And he talked to me about a generator that we need on the property because when the power goes out, the courthouse shuts down and we don't have a backup generator at this time. So he'd like to talk about that too. So,
Okay,
thanks.
Jeff, can I get all the closed session meeting minutes back, please?
yes, you can. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lori.
Phelps Community Services. Ended the fiscal year numbers are in. We ended our year for code enforcement with $40,424 in building permits, which is $76,424 more than last year. We took in $110,991 in electrical permits, which is $26,000 more than the previous year. $74,253 in plumbing and mechanical permits, which is an increase of $18,000 from the year before. We issued 124 new addresses last year, up from 87 the previous year. We are on our second contract year for zoning and enforcement for the City of Clare Code of Ordinances, and we receive $18,000 a year from the City of Clare in revenue for that. And then this time every year, we update our website. So we're working on that right now. Our end of the year numbers for senior services, we served 329 meals. 99,913 were home delivered meals. We were able to welcome our congregate back in the early summer. However, many are really nervous to come back. So we're still having the curbside pickup for them if they would like. We provided 26,276 hours of in-home care for seniors, providing assistance with personal hygiene, housekeeping, grocery shopping, relief for caregivers, and general activities of daily living. Our caseworkers spent 2,901 hours of coordinating services for seniors, from attaining meals and home help to coordinating home repairs, heat assistance, medical transportation, prescription medication assistance, durable medical equipment. Our caseworkers see now about 50 clients, new clients a month. We had 595 new clients just this past year.
Good job.
We were also able to help recently 8 families of grandparents raising their grandchildren with school backpacks full of school supplies, food, Kindles. Some of the issues that we're having in senior services right now is the increased food costs. So our costs have gone up a little over $48,000 from last year. And then they've actually gone up around $30,000 from the previous year. But the previous year, we were serving 2 meals for homebound seniors. So we were doing 2 meals a day instead of 1. So now we're doing just the 1. So, there's nothing we can do about that. We do have problem getting certain items right now. It's a game. And then our gas for Meals on Wheels. So last year, our bill in October was $565. And this year it was over $1,300 for just October. So that's another issue. And then we also are having an issue with adequate staffing. Nobody wants to work.
Mhm.
So that is a problem for us right now. We just can't find people that want to work, so.
Because of COVID.
I don't know what it is, actually, but just,
It's statewide and region-wide.
I think it's just a problem all over the place. So our revenue was up this year from last year in senior services. We received 1,768,000 some, and our total expenses were 1,691,000. We received about $46,000 in program income from our community block grant dollars that we put out. It's a previous grant to help renovate homes for low-income individuals or moderate income individuals. There's over $1 million out in loans, and that's been for years past. We received $45,000 back from those loans, so we put that back into the community. We replaced 2 roofs with that, septic system, 3 wells, 2 furnaces, installed a handicap shower. So that's where we're at right now.
Nice.
Does anyone have any questions?
Very good.
Thank you. Okay, public hearing. John, you're up.
Thank you. With me is Sarah Maselli Sorensen. She's Program Director for Clare County and Gladwood County, actually. For Community Mental Health for Central Michigan. I appreciate your invitation to present our annual update to the Board of Commissioners. Here again.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you. We appreciate the active involvement of your appointees to our mental health board. Sandy Bristol, thank you for your service. And also Joe Phillips for his participation on the board, as well as on the Mid-State Health Network Board of Directors. For those who may not be familiar in the room, Community Mental Health for Central Michigan is a 6-county community mental health authority serving 277,000 citizens in Clare, Gladwin, Isabella, Midland, Acosta, and Osceola counties. We are the 7th largest community mental health out of 46 in the state of Michigan. Community mental health authorities are established by county government as authorized by the Michigan Mental Health Code. State law requires community mental health governance by a 15-member board of directors appointed by the 6 counties. That includes 1 county commissioner, as well as other representatives from the community based on population according to proportional to the 6 counties. CMH provides specialty services and supports to children with serious emotional disturbance, adults with serious mental illness, individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities, and persons with co-occurring disorders. And we provide many evidence-based practices in the Clare office, in the homes of families, as well as case management and community supports to assist persons in experiencing fulfilled lives. CMH also provides psychiatric and collaborative healthcare services to address the needs of the whole person, and we are proud of our collaboration with hospitals, doctors, jails, courts, and schools, along with a wide array of other agencies. And Sarah will talk more about those local partnerships. The annual report distributed before the meeting, hopefully you have it at your station there, includes highlighted metrics and outcomes. The report is available also on our website at cmhcm.org. Last year, community mental health served over 10,000 persons with high priority needs across our 6 counties, including 2,800 children. Additional breakout data is in the annual report. Our records show that 1,515 persons were served here in Clare County in the last fiscal year. The fiscal year 22 CMH budget for Clare County is $13.5 million, with most of that being Medicaid funds, we have received additional general fund dollars this year and are investing those funds into community collaborative agreements for jail diversion, schools, and other community benefits. Those are positions that Medicaid doesn't fund. Okay. Like other healthcare entities and essential services, community mental health stayed open during the pandemic to provide supports and coordination to help meet the urgent needs of the community. CMH handled 2,870 crisis contacts in the past year, which is a 55% increase over the prior year. We reduced readmissions to psychiatric hospitals from 9.4% down to 7.7% when you look at the first 30 days of which a person is discharged from a psychiatric hospital during that time. And also using targeted efforts, we worked to reduce unnecessary emergency department utilization by over 1/3 over the prior 12 months. We have one of the best supported employment programs in the state of Michigan.
They do.
Despite COVID, our team, which is a 6-county team, was able to place 114 individuals with mental illness with 111 different employers. Like every other employer, CMH is also struggling to find healthcare professionals, but amidst the stiff competition, we've been able to add jail diversion specialists across our 6 counties, benefit eligibility specialists, and youth intervention workers within our schools. We're here to give you information about our progress and successes. And Sarah's going to give you some stories as well as some partnerships that are happening. But I'm also here to request your support for a resolution. And I'll be sure to make sure that you get that here quickly. There is legislation in Lansing right now that proposes to eliminate the prepaid inpatient health plans. Mid-State Health Network is one of those prepaid inpatient health plans. I earlier stressed the role of county government in establishing community mental health entities. CMHs in turn, by legislation, were able to create the prepaid inpatient health plans. And so Community Mental Health for Central Michigan, along with 11 other CMHs, worked together to stand up Mid-State Health Network. I am on the Operations Council for Mid-State Health Network, and there are 2 board members from each of the 12 CMHs that sit on the board of directors for Mid-State Health Network, Joe Phillips being one of those board members. We truly appreciate the efforts and the actions by Mid-State Health Network to guide policy and to guide funding into our communities. The legislation that I'm asking you to oppose through Board of Commission resolution is both in the Senate and in the House. In the Senate, Senate Bill 597 and 598 looks to eliminate the prepaid inpatient health plans, eliminate Mid-State Health Network, who also you are sending your PA dollars to, and you have representatives to that oversight body, and have the $3 billion in state public mental health funds be transferred over to the oversight of private entities, Medicaid health plans. There are many advocacy and organization groups and organizations, including MAC, Association of Sheriffs, the Michigan Judges Association, ACLU, as well as State Court Administrators organization, including as well as NAMI, the ARC, Association for Children's Mental Health. The list is long of entities that say this is bad legislation. It was just revised And the majority leader in the Senate revised it to eliminate CMHs as well over time. We fiercely oppose this legislation, and we're looking for your support and joining other counties within our 6 counties and across the state who have already adopted the resolution. So I'll be happy to send that to you. This legislation does eliminate local control. You won't have representatives to Medicaid health plans like you do now. You won't have representatives to prepaid inpatient health plans or mid-state health network like you do now to help guide the dollars into our counties. I can honestly tell you that as I sit at the table with the CEO, Joe Sedlock from Midstate, that the attitude towards pushing down as many dollars as possible to the counties is genuine and constantly present. The ask for the Senate is that the $3 billion goes over to the Medicaid health plans who have a 21% overhead, including 3% profit built into that overhead, compared to the 6% overhead of the public health system. We're talking the equivalent of diluting $450 million from communities to serve the most vulnerable citizens in our state. So I'm asking you, I'm pleading with you to support this resolution that I send over. And if you need me to come back and walk through, I'll be more than happy to do that as well. But if you will, I'll pass the baton over to.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hello, thank you for having us, and I can talk really quickly if we're running short on time because I'm a fast speaker. While you get to see John and I once a year, I really want to take a moment, if we can, to just commend the staff that work at Community on Mental Health. Overnight, we transitioned how we do all business so that there was no stopping of services to the people that we serve, who are our most vulnerable members of our community. And so overnight, everyone learned to do their job in a new way, I'm sure in all sectors, but in the human services arena, when you're working with such vulnerable populations who don't have access to things like broadband readily, this was not an easy feat to accomplish. And our staff were creative and they were determined and they were homeschooling their own children, and they still were figuring out how to keep our consumers' needs and their desires and wishes in the forefront. And I just think that just deserves a lot of kudos because it wasn't easy and they're tired. And I think, as you can see, that some of the numbers that John presented, the mental health pandemic that's now happening is real. Everybody talks about mental health and mental wellness now much more than they ever did pre-COVID. So maybe that's the silver lining that comes out of everything that's going on. But I just would like to highlight some of the things that we've been doing here in the community. Part of what we'd offer as a community benefit during COVID is 4 free therapy sessions to anyone who lives in Clare County, regardless of insurance, regardless of what issue they're facing, just as a community benefit, as a way to try to support the community during the pandemic. During those 4 sessions, for some people, that's all it took, was they needed somebody to talk to a couple of times and they felt better. For some people, we've then helped them figure out what is the next step. Do you need to get into services somewhere that your insurance might support? Are you appropriate for CMH services? How do we help you make those linkages? We also offered and continue to offer a resource called My Strength, which is an app or a web-based program that's an emotional health and wellness program. We can use that with the people in our services to help track mood and do some education, but we also offered it up to anybody who lives in one of the communities that CMHCM serves as a community benefit. It's a really cool website or app, depending on which you like to use, where you tell it what you want to learn about. It's very responsive based on the things you say, I want to learn more about. It's like, hey, if you liked this, maybe you'll like this. It's really been a great resource that's been available. When the schools were shut down, we worked to create emotional wellness resources that were emailed out by schools or passed out during meal distribution times as a way to try to help give some support to families who were at home struggling with how to homeschool and parent and not be able to leave their homes. And so we tried to offer some tips and strategies. We also offered at times virtual groups that were available to the entire community on if you were struggling with behavioral issues with your kids, you could come to this group that would provide some very general tips or strategies that might be useful or helpful. We continue to have therapists that are placed in the Harrison school system and in the Farwell school system that provide day-to-day support to students, providing some ongoing counseling when needed, some crisis intervention depending on the needs of the youth, really targeting at trying to keep those youth in school versus at home where they're not maybe excelling. Oh, sorry, I lost where I was. When we were serving those that maybe were supposed to be quarantined, but found it difficult to quarantine. We did try to work to talk with them daily about where they were going so that if we needed to, we could assist with contact tracing. If someone in our services happened to test positive for COVID, we also had daily contact with them to check on their symptoms, to help them determine if they maybe needed to go to the hospital, because we know that consumers of our services aren't always as good at recognizing when their symptoms are worsening and maybe when they would need to seek medical treatment for COVID. So we tried to manage that. When we had COVID positive cases in the AFC homes that we worked with, we provided a ton of support. We provide activities to try to help people to quarantine in their rooms because everybody wanted to still be out and watch TV and be social. And so we tried to provide activities or strategies or supports to the homes for that. In the past year, we provided youth mental health first aid to any interested Clare DHHS staff at no cost to their agency. And mental health first aid, if you're not aware, just provides real general overview of mental health and how to interact with people during a mental health emergency, sort of like regular first aid, but on the mental health side of things. We are super excited in this past year to have started the Clare Gladwin jail diversion position. This therapist first and I know John's behind me, so he's already cheering his arms up and down right now. This position works in both of the jail systems to help us.
Awesome.
It is awesome.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you.
she's good. She's really good.
She is.
Thank you, John.
Yes, thank you. Works to assess the mental health needs of an inmate, maybe provide some therapy, providing groups, and then really as people are getting released from jail, trying to link and connect so that maybe we can prevent some of that falling through the cracks. She actually gave me a great success story of an inmate who had maybe been to the jail a few times and had maybe participated in some life skills groups that we offer there. And with that, and then working with our jail diversion person upon release from jail, made their own decision to go to rehab, continues to remain sober, is now an active participant in their child's life, has ended a toxic relationship and is in a healthy relationship and is trying to pursue employment. And so I think that's a great illustration of when we can really engage people in that moment.
Yeah.
We can really help maybe course correct sometimes.
Yeah, he's part of a group that started their own recovery group through a local church, and he's into that too. So I know who you're talking about.
Awesome. Sorry, I lost where I was. And then we're also working, we're in the beginning stages of coordinating with law enforcement to setting up a training on increasing awareness, understanding, and interaction strategies for children on the autism spectrum, because we know we're seeing lots of increases in those diagnoses and lots of increase of crisis contacts. And so trying to provide some more support resources in those situations. And then I just have to round us out, I just have a couple quick success stories. We have a consumer who through services was able to get their symptoms under control. They paid off their fines. They got their license back. They purchased a vehicle. They went finally to a primary healthcare doctor to get treatment for the AFib that they were struggling with. And they said that when they started our services, they were so anxiety ridden, they couldn't think straight to be able to plan for their life. And now they can actually plan and see forwards into the future. We have a consumer who attended MMI job training and he's held the same job for 2 years and has been able to get his license and buy a vehicle. We have a consumer who's graduating from a very intensive treatment program called dialectical behavior therapy, who has repaired relationships with her children and parents, ended toxic relationships, and she's actually closing to our services because she's met her goals. And then this is a really exciting one. We worked with the consumer for an extended period of time, really low self-esteem, no confidence, not sleeping well, poor interactions, started in outpatient therapy, was eventually referred to our employment program. They started real basic, working on like hygiene and how to present oneself as a professional. She worked with the program for a long time and she found out that she actually does enjoy helping people and socializing with other people, which is something they had stopped doing because of their illness. After a year, they finally applied and interviewed for a job and were hired on the spot.
Wow.
The job became a real source of confidence and pride, and she found herself working and connecting with her coworkers and her clients. And this is no joke. that when a client didn't answer the door, she recognized that something must be wrong and actually saved this person's life by getting help, and the person had fallen, and had they been left there, probably would have not made it. And so
Great.
I feel like that is a great success.
Yes. Yeah, wow.
So thank you all for listening to me babble about all of the great services and work that we do in our county.
And we'll get on that resolution. Yes?
Appreciate it.
Do
We'll
do
send
you
it
need a
right
vote
away.
on that?
No, he's gonna send it
He's
over.
gonna send it over
Okay,
for next
great.
meeting.
Mhm.
Just wanted to tell you that I wrote a letter to the Senate opposing Senate bills, those two Senate bills. And I've told each one of my townships to write letters and call and oppose those bills. Okay,
Excellent.
so,
Mhm.
yeah. Yeah, what you do is phenomenal. Statistics show that 80% of our inmates have behavioral mental health issues. And this is something I think John will agree, it's really needed. So this is great.
Excellent. And there's more activity happening in that regard. Senator Outman has passed out or the Senate actually passed out Senate Bill 567, 568 for jail diversion, more jail diversion and crisis work. And our staff with Sheriff Maine from Isabella County met with Senator Outman just last Friday and working on some more details for that. So, a lot of more good things happening.
Thank you.
Lots more.
Phenomenal. You
Thank
guys
you.
are great.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Guys have a good night.
Okay. Apportionment discussion. Sandy, you say you want to talk?
Sure, I'd like to just tell the story of what I found and everything that's happened with me and the apportionment committee in the last 3 weeks or so it was just by coincidence. Every time I turned around, I was bumping into something else and I would check on that and that would lead me to something else that I'd bump into something else. And it kind of snowballed. And I was pretty amazed. I've given you 2 packets. One is, it's got this on the face. It says Don Apportionment Commission PDF, okay? And that is a copy of their approved September 3rd minutes, okay? I also gave you a packet of the minutes for the apportionment board, and you should have that and that's separate. And that's just kind of for reference and stuff. So where'd it go? Okay. In there, they approved. Okay. Hold on. Okay, all right, here we go. I got the ones with blood on them. Those are the ones that I am gonna read out of. Okay, it said in there that they made a motion to approve the minutes, okay, of the June 9th meeting. All right, and that's 1, 2, 3, 4 little sentences down. None of the minutes were posted online ever after all the minutes and or after all the meetings. And that's a violation of Open Meetings Act. So I'm just pointing that out, that from the very beginning, they never posted their minutes online. They never even had a place on the website of the county for their committee, or their commission. All right, so I'm starting there. I discovered that. And on the second page there, number 2 and number 3 there, it's the Open Meetings Act parts that tell about having to post minutes. It's number 2 is for regular meetings of a public body. There shall be posted within 10 days after the first meeting, which was in June. within 10 days, there you go, after the first meeting of the public body in each calendar year or fiscal year, a public notice stating the dates, times, and places of its regular meetings. Those were never posted. You can look at the packet of minutes that I gave you, and they're done up correctly, but they were never posted anywhere and not online. The number 3 there, if there's a change in the schedule, and this one's important, if there's a change in the schedule of regular meetings of a public body, there shall be posted within 3 days after the meeting at which the change is made, a public notice stating the new dates, times, and places of its regular meetings, okay? And keep that in mind. Turn to the next page, please, and it's kind of a dark one, and it says public notice on it, okay? It took me a while, but I found out where they had posted this schedule of meetings. And I didn't realize that they could be posted outside in that window case there. And they're supposed to be posted at the clerk's office. So those are the only 2 places that this list had been posted, outside in the window box, all right, and down at Lori's, which was appropriate, but they were still also supposed to be online. And the minutes must be made available on the next page. It says proposed minutes must be made available for public inspection within 8 days after the applicable meeting. Approved minutes must be made available for public inspection within 5 days after the public body's approval. So that's a violation, not where they never, also, besides not being posted on our webpage, they weren't made available to anybody within the time limits. So that's another violation. Okay, and the next page, it says if a board makes any changes to, let's see, it's down under, it says regular meetings, and then it's the second paragraph. If a board makes any changes to the schedule of regular meetings, public notice of the change must be posted within 3 days after the meeting at which the board made the changes. And they did that back at the first meeting, I believe, in September. No, at any rate, it was early on like that, very early in the session. Okay, and now I want you to turn back to that page that has the list like that I found in the window box. Okay. I was coming into the courthouse on October 25th, the Friday. And as I was coming into the courthouse, I stopped and looked at this list, okay? It didn't have any of the red markings on it. They weren't marked like that. And I came into the courthouse, and in the lobby, Lori was standing there, Lori Martin, the clerk, and I greeted her for a second, and I went into the bathroom. When I came out, she was at the glass case out there, and I had been watching for a posting to be put up for the November 5th meeting, which was to be the very last meeting of the apportionment committee, and they were going to do the final vote on the mats. And so I'd been watching for that. When I saw her out there at the glass case, I thought, oh, she's putting that notice up for that meeting, and didn't think of anything else. I did my business in the courthouse and came back out, and I looked in that glass case to see if she'd posted for the November 5th meeting, and she had. It was on a separate sheet of paper, but she'd also gone back in. She'd also gone back in and canceled out October 1st, October 15th, the 22nd, and the 29th. And she wrote in right on October 29th that they'd been canceled. And you have to do that within 3 days after the meeting that they were canceled. That's a pretty big violation. And if anybody had figured out where these meetings were posted and had tried to come up here to look at them, if they knew they were posted in the glass case or at the clerk's office, before October 29th, they would have just thought that the meetings were being held and then come here to find out they weren't, and because they hadn't been canceled at the correct time. So that's a little annoying. All right. When I first saw the map, when the map with the new 9 districts and it was leaked, that was, I believe, on the 15th or something. It was a Friday. It was a Friday, and it got leaked onto the Republican, the Clare County Republican Facebook page. And it quickly got, one of our commissioners saw it, and it quickly bounced to between about 3 commissioners. And just by chance, and here's where the coincidence comes in again, I'm just there and this stuff happens. I was in the office with Tracy when another commissioner carrying the screen snap of that map got into the office to show Tracy, and I both saw it. And I was like, what the, because it's vastly different. And I'm upset over it because I will lose 2 townships. I'll talk about that later, but I was upset. So I thought about it all weekend, and on Monday we had finance committee and Lori was clerking. And at the end of the finance committee, I leaned over to her and I said, what's the deal with this new map with 9 districts? And she was surprised that I had seen it. She wanted to know where I'd gotten it from. And I told her I wasn't going to give her my sources, but at any rate, she wasn't happy with that it had leaked. Okay. So the next day, I didn't know she was sick. She stayed home for the rest of the week. But on that Tuesday, the next day, I emailed her, and I believe I got it in there. At any rate, I emailed her and I asked her for the attendance at the meeting. No, I asked her if the November 5th meeting could be Zoomed, and I wanted the attendance for the apportionment committee meetings. And she told me that she could make that decision about having it Zoomed, that was for the committee to decide. And so I wrote her back the same day, Tuesday, and I said, aren't you on the committee? Can you contact them with an email and ask them, if, they'll talk about it and agree to having it Zoomed. And I didn't hear back, maybe because she was lying in bed sick, I don't know. But and then later on in the day.
You said I was lying?
No, lying in bed, I did, yeah, no. Okay, no, I thought she didn't answer because she's like dying. I should have said dying. Yeah, okay. So, and then I wrote her a second time and asked for the minutes of the meeting. Okay, and the data. I believe I asked her for the data at that time. No answer. So then I found out that she was homesick, and I didn't bother her for the rest of that week. The next Monday, I wrote her again. I think that's the date. I wrote her again and asked once again for the data and the minutes. And I ran into her in the hall out here, and she was alive and well. And I told her I was still looking forward to those minutes. And she said that she was busy training election workers and she'd get those minutes to me when she had a chance. Now, there was just 6 minutes worth of meeting minutes, so I didn't think that would be like a gruesome task, but at any rate, okay, I didn't have them then. Now, this next page that's pink and gray there, and it says penalties on it. Okay, I'm putting that in there just to point out that these are serious violations. It's okay if there's like a slip, maybe somebody missed the date to post things or whatever. But this piling up of violations was very concerning to me, and you take them seriously enough so that there's fines and things. All right, so that's why that page is in there. The next page is Michelle Ambrositis' news release. I put that in there in case you hadn't seen it. Okay, and with the news release came out a map, the next page, the new improved map that's easier to read, that she included with the news release. And I have some questions about it, but we'll talk about the map itself later on. The next page, how the district assignments run, what townships are in what districts. And many of the townships, more than we have in the current map, are in more than one district. I find that concerning. Okay. All right, back to, okay, I wrote another letter to Lori and CC'd it to Michelle asking for the minutes and the data that they used. Michelle quickly replied with the link. You'll see it on that page there with a link to the state site for the apportionment committees. And there was a way that you could sign up, have your own account and get in there. And I'm working on my cell phone and I have an account now, but I haven't gotten in there. Okay. But it's there. And she quickly replied to me, still hadn't received the minutes just quite at that time, but they were, I think the next day they came from Lori. And it was 8 days after I'd first requested them from her. And I know she was sick and she was training people. But still there, I believe a FOIA law had been breached there that I have to get them within 5 days, or the OMA rules, I have to have them in 8 days. All right. So this last page is the most troubling part of the things that I found out. On that day that I saw her out there working on the glass case,
Objection, lurking.
working,
Oh, I thought you said lurking.
working, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I take my mask off, I guess. No, I'm not. No, she absolutely did not look like she was lurking. She looked like she knew what she was doing, okay? Standing there, not furtively or anything. Okay, so the prior weeks, since I found the map, I had been looking for where the meetings were posted. And that was before I found out they were out in the glass case and whatnot. I was looking on our webpage and couldn't find them anywhere. And on our webpage, we have a little scrolling map down in the corner, okay, where all kinds of meetings are put in. And I scrolled all the way back to June, and there were no apportionment committee meetings in there at all. Okay, are you following me? So on Monday, that would be November 1st, I looked at the scrolling calendar on the webpage, or just even on the webpage, to see if they had put the November 5th meeting, which was going to be the very last one where they're going to vote on the map, to see if that was on our webpage. And lo and behold, in the scrolling map, November 5th was there, that meeting, and I thought, awesome. And then I scrolled back and all the other missing meetings had been put in. And that's a pretty direct violation of the Open Meetings Act. So I said to myself, I don't know who did this. I mean, it seems sort of obvious because the clerk of the apportionment commission, she's the one responsible for that stuff. And I saw Lori putting in, working on the schedule out there. So I said, but I can't prove who did it. It could have been anybody. It could have been somebody that snuck into the courthouse and did it, So I was complaining to somebody. I found out about an app that you can use to go in and find the timestamp on who posted what. It didn't tell you who, but it was a timestamp that showed when they were posted. And that's this last page. And that's for 3 different postings that were put on there. The first one at the top, it was put in, it says created right there in the middle of the wording. It says created October 29th. So that was that Friday. And that was for, okay. And then there's a little paragraph at the top. The data below states that the Apportionment Commission Google Calendar events on 10/8, and that was a meeting that they had, and 9/03 were created after the event took place. So on October 8th and on September 3rd, they hadn't been posted until October 29th. And that's a violation of the rules. And you never should go back in and post them afterwards like that. And then the second one is the timestamp for, let's see, one of those dates up there. And that is, it says created 10/29, and down in the third one, it says that other posting there, it was created 10/29. So definitely proof that someone went in on October 29th and was it be called post dated? I don't know how you call them, but went back and posted everything after, weeks and months after they happened. That's a very big violation of the Open Meetings Act. And I'm concerned about that. And it's like what Dan Deisinger said, that you can't let that slide, okay? It's just not a good idea for any of us to let that slide. So I'm concerned about that. I would like the opinion of the board on how you'd like to do how, if you want to do something, how you'd like to do something about it or what, but I think it really needs to be handled, okay? I'm going to talk about the map a little bit, not very much longer. The map, when I went to the apportionment meeting on November 5th, where they were going to finalize the vote on it to turn it into the state, they stressed how beautiful this new map was, that it was compact, which it is. I've had people compliment parts of the map. They said it was compact, it looked organized and things like that. But the only problem with that is the two new districts that I don't believe the county can really afford. Now, the apportionment committee, part of their criteria for making the new map was that they were not supposed to use any money as an issue, like, well, we can't have two more because it'll cost money. But I am bringing that up because if we do have two more districts, I figured out with two more commissioners at about $12,000 a year, give or take, over 10 years, it would be between $250,000 and $300,000. And that's tax dollar money. So there is that consideration. And as far as being clean and neat, it's more chopped up than what our current map is. And I'm concerned about that. I think the criteria, I feel real strongly that the map could have been done in different ways. And I believe at the November 5th meeting, they told us that when they were using the state site to plug in the numbers, for population and stuff, that it had presented them with 10 maps, I think, that they could pick from, and that the commission had decided to narrow it down to 3. And I know one had 7 districts, one had 9, and did one have 8 and then you threw it out? You remember that, Lori?
Yes.
And so you did throw out the one with 8, and then considered the one with 7 and the one with 9, and they decided to go with the one with 9. Okay. And I would have liked to have had some of the public to be available there at these meetings. And I think because it wasn't posted correctly, when I first saw the map, I was flabbergasted, and I got after myself thinking, you knew that those meetings were happening. Why didn't you check in on them and things? And my thoughts were that it would be a no-brainer, that really not that much stuff had changed in the county and that it wouldn't be a big difference on the map. So I apologize to the public for me not paying closer attention. And I think that we would have had some public input if the meetings had been noticed the way where they were supposed to be. Also, another coincidence that happened while I was going through this, I attended the Michigan's 4th U.S. Congressional District Democratic Committee meeting, all right? And it had several of the counties there. That's the group that finds candidates to run for the, like John Moulinar's district, okay? And when I was there, on their agenda was apportionment maps. And the other counties, there was quite a few of them there. They had brought their maps. I happened to have one of those early maps that got leaked, and we had a good discussion about that. They were flabbergasted that we had gone to 9, that our commission had gone to 9. They thought that I'm just going to say they were flabbergasted, okay? And they talked about in their communities how things were handled. So to be honest, some of the counties, they didn't have much public input, even though things were posted correctly and so on. Others, like Isabella County, they had a lot of people from the public come in, and even members of the public could draw their own maps with the information. So there was that kind of openness, and we didn't have that here. Mr. Dysinger mentioned that, the lack of transparency and things. And I really think this whole thing was mishandled. And there are some options. We could get a lawyer and pursue, a suit against them on behalf of the county. Because like Mr. Dysinger said, they have offended the whole county, they've affected the whole county. And I believe that we can try to appeal that map. And I'm wondering if anybody's interested in pursuing that. I don't know if as a commissioner I could do that. If I can, I will, because I think the fact that so many OMA rules were broken, that would null the work that they did on the map, because they were broken. It discounts all the work that they did and it'll have to be done over, completely over.
Was this committee ever talked about in commission meetings that
The first time, and we talked about that, Michelle mentioned it this morning at that meeting that they had this morning, which she thought if they redid that meeting, because she misinterpreted me at the November 5th meeting, she thought I had complained that the November 5th meeting had not been posted correctly. And it was the only meeting that had been posted correctly. And so she had brought this special meeting this morning,
when was this committee even announced?
way back,
Some time ago,
yeah, months and months ago.
long time ago,
And
I know I've been absent from a
No,
few
the-
meetings, but even in.
before that even.
I
yeah,
was present. I don't even recall
yeah.
any mention of these meetings.
Michelle and I talked about that. We were going back.
They went on.
Yeah.
And, I can see what do we do about it is a big thing. How do you fix it? You got to redo all the meetings? Is the committee, are they willing to talk, work with this? Is this a done deal? I noticed there was on the emails, they did not want to respond to any questions here because of the litigation part of that was brought up, and I understand that. But do we get a question and answer time? I myself personally am not resolved to trying to find anybody or anything like that. I would like it fixed and done fair for the taxpayers of the county.
Mhm.
So how do we get past that and remedy it? And if we have any complaints, but in the long run, is this their decision? They're the committee, they do it, what they put in, is that done? Do we have any,
We have time to
Insight.
appeal it. We have time to appeal it.
I'm just saying it, so I feel with this being said and your concerns, we need to figure a course of action. But I feel we need to research that course of action and maybe establish a line of communication with people on that committee also.
Okay, time is running out because I think we have 30 days to appeal from the time it's sent to the state. The map is sent to the state.
It's Monday.
Mhm. Is it, Michelle, is that correct?
So I can answer some of the questions you might have. Starting out at the very beginning and basic is that the Apportionment Commission by statute is comprised of the sitting prosecuting attorney, the sitting clerk, the sitting treasurer, and then the party chairs of the two parties that receive the most votes in the Secretary of State general election. Generally speaking, that is Republicans and Democrats, because some of the other parties generally don't receive majority amount. So it is made up of the two individuals on that. We meet every 10 years to take the decennial census figures, and their job is to redraw the county maps for commissioners. There is an Attorney General opinion, and you can find that it is 1981, number 5922. If you have access to Westlaw, it is 1981 WL 153445 that talks about how being a commissioner is incompatible with being on the apportionment board, because obviously the way the maps are drawn affects you.
what vote you get and whatever.
Yeah.
Correct.
Understand.
Mhm.
Right.
Makes sense to me.
So there is guidelines that we have to follow. So within 60 days after the publication of the latest census figures, the County Apportionment Commission of each county shall apportion the county into not less than 5, no more than 21 county commissioner districts, as nearly of equal population as practicable and within the limitations of section 2. And so that's, if you're interested, MCL, which is Michigan Compiled Laws, statute 46.401. And then if you go to 46.402, it outlines the number of commissioners based on population. So it further defines how many commissioners each county may have. Our county population falls within the 10,001 to 50,000, which means we may not have no more than 15 commissioners. Okay. So then, like I said, we have 60 days after the numbers are released. So this year was interesting and unique for everybody because normally this process takes place in the spring of this year, the year after the census is completed. But because of COVID, they delayed the release of the numbers. And so the census numbers were released on August 12th. And so was question because it was released in a legacy format. It was not released in the normal format that they released them, and that was as a result of a court case out of Ohio. So they released it. So then our Secretary of State put out information that they intended to release more detailed numbers September 30th. And then they said that our timeline would start on that date. But if August 12th was later determined in a court of law to be the actual release date, the due date for the apportionment plan to be submitted would have been October 11th. Okay. So the entire time that we were meeting, this was being sorted out. Our county attorney is also the county attorney for several other counties, and they did provide a civil opinion that said it is the August date. Then on September 10th, the Attorney General's office issued a memorandum of law for the timing for county reapportionment plans. And they said that the September 10th date, which is when they ultimately released the number, so they did release them earlier, was the date for the time. So now we have two competing opinions. And as anybody will tell you who works in law practice, you could have 8 attorneys in a room and all 8 attorneys will give you a different opinion based on their interpretation, right? So now we have these two things. So our next course of action was we could vote on the plan prior to the October 11th date and submit it. And then we would have to reconvene on another date to ratify that action and submit it a second time. So it was within the deadline for the second filing.
That all makes sense.
What we did though, is I filed for an opinion from the Court of Appeals extending the deadline to November 15th at noon.
Mhm.
And so we had our final meeting October 8th in the morning. And by that point in time, I had not yet received the order from the Court of Appeals granting the extension. So we had to vote on a map at that time, and we did so. And it wasn't until probably about 3 hours after that meeting, I got the order from the Court of Appeals. So we stopped what we were doing with that because we weren't going to submit it then by October 11th and put everything on hold until the November 5th date, so we could ratify it and have it submitted in time to meet our deadline of November 15th. Make sense?
Mhm.
And so that is what we did. And I know that there are some suggestions that we didn't follow the Open Meetings Act, and I'm not going to get into that. Because again, arguments can be made for and against.
I
But
got a question though on that. Sorry to interrupt, but let's say there were, and I'm not saying there was, not say there were, would the committee be open to a redo instead of making a big fiasco out of all this?
we have a deadline of November 15th.
Okay,
So I don't know how you do over, right?
well, there's too many meetings. Okay,
Right, you understand where,
I just would like a civil, fair resolution to this.
well, I understand that. Your options at this point, any citizen can appeal the map. You have 30 days and that 30-day clock would start today to do so. And if an individual believes that the Open Meetings Act was violated, they have every right to file a complaint with the Michigan State Police, post in Mount Pleasant to investigate that, because I can guarantee you that the sheriff's department will say, send it to the state police because it's a conflict. So go to the Michigan State Police post, you can file your complaint. They'll conduct their investigation. It'll get submitted to my office, and then in turn, I will submit it for special prosecutor assignment through the Attorney General's office, because I'm a member of the commission. And so it wouldn't be proper for me to review that, obviously. And so we would have to go through that process to submit it to the Attorney General's office. They will either keep it on their own or they would assign it to another prosecutor and they would review it for criminal charges. I believe that there's also a civil sanction in the Open Meetings Act as well, that an individual, if they felt that it was violated, could sue. I'm going to say, and it's my opinion, your county attorney may tell you something different, but I think you as a board taking action is highly suspect, highly irregular, and might be unethical. Because it affects you as a citizen acting on your own. I think you're fine.
Because I don't like the way the map was drawn out. I'm suing you because I didn't get the territory I wanted.
Correct.
And so,
So then you would file it. And there's an abundance of case law, as I'm sure Bronwyn knows, on the statutes that govern us. I'm sure she'd be happy to go into her Westlaw account and pull it all out so you can see all of the associated case law and decisions that have come down on each of these statutes. And you can read those little snippets and kind of the
so
lay of the land.
there is no time for redos and that's out of the question.
We are,
Yeah.
we submitted the plan today, so we met our deadline because we have to download shape files from the Secretary of State website. We have to attach those. We have to give them the exhibits, the legal boundary descriptions and all of those. So I appreciate that there are people that are not satisfied with that, and those are the recourses that you have. And I won't tell you one way or another how to proceed. If you want to redress your grievances in court, have at it. I mean, that's your right
I think
as a citizen, right?
we got the information we need. And I thank you for giving that to us. So
You're welcome.
now we need to decide what avenue we want to take.
Correct.
All right,
Yeah,
appreciate it.
you're welcome.
Yes.
Yeah, first of all, I don't think anyone in this room is perfect, okay? And I really resent the insinuations, I say insinuation, we've got it right here in front of us, and Sandy passed out this paper and highlighted it for our attention, impose penalties if they believe the violations were intentional. I don't think, we have a great clerk.
No, I understand, but that's just
Yeah.
everybody's opinion. So
And I just put that in there to show that
Yeah.
those kinds of
No.
things can be.
however, I feel I can't tell anybody how to feel.
Right,
So,
right.
so
Exactly. And I agree with Mr. Dysinger, and you're alluding to that as well, transparency is.
And part of the only thing that even upsets me a little bit about it, obviously, because I don't have a big change by that whole map.
Yeah,
But the big changes that were there, and it's our own fault. It's our own fault for not going in and paying attention to this. Be basically like you said, you thought it wouldn't change much because you thought our population stayed the same and everything else. So that's partially our fault, but also the transparency aspect is, hey, you guys, there's a lot of this stuff shaking up here. As we were all kind of trying to act as colleagues and friends also. We should have said, hey, a lot of this is shaking up. You might want to get in here and get your opinion in.
Mhm. They could have.
That's one thing
reported
that
how
bothers me out of the whole deal myself. So
Yep. So,
we will talk and see what we want to do within the next 30 days, okay?
okay, so
Or
before the 30-day,
before our
okay,
deadline's up.
yep, all right. Would that mean waiting till the December meeting? Because
No, we're not gonna wait till then.
we have a special meeting?
We need to get through deer season, so I'd like to apologize.
Make me wait too long. I'm gonna get some of that meat.
There you go. I'll split my deer with you.
Okay,
But we will talk about that. And I want to give everybody time to think about that also.
yeah,
And I will get with Tracy and we'll get some options on which way we want to go and present them. So we don't violate the Meetings Act ourselves.
true. And
Okay.
I would like to hear from our county lawyer, if he just could either
Yep.
give us an opinion or send us to somebody else that we could get an opinion.
All right. Are you satisfied with what? You got your word in, do you?
I'm tired of talking.
Okay. Sheriff request to purchase. Rick, can you do that motion?
Sure can. Motion to approve the purchase of 4 cameras for the jail for a total amount not to exceed $12,000. Funds will come from the commissioner fund and will allow the reimbursement from our dollars if funding requirements change.
Motion. Got a second?
Second.
Second, you made the motion, didn't you?
Yeah, you-
Okay.
Second it,
He's
Rick.
not
I
quite
was shaking my
recovered.
head at that one. I
Yeah,
thought,
he's not quite recovered. Okay. It's all right, close enough.
Okay.
At least you're sitting upright there. We're good.
Did we get a second?
I'll second.
I thought Ron one did, didn't
I
you?
did, yeah.
Okay.
Roll call, Lori.
Rankin.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Stephanie, can you do number 2?
Emergency Management Award Identification. Motion to approve the fiscal year 2021 Emergency Management Performance Grants American Rescue Plan Act Grant Agreement for an additional $11,296 to the Clare County Emergency Management and allow chair to sign.
We have a second.
Second.
Motion in a second. Roll call, Lori.
Brown.
Yes.
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 Bristol. Yep. Haskell.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Sandy, could you do number 3?
Yes, it has only one small number in it. I can do it. Number 3, State Court Administrative Office Burn Justice Assistance Grant. Motion to approve the State Court Administrative Office Burn Justice Assistance Grant for the Recovery Court in the amount of $40,000 and allow chair to sign.
Second.
Motion got a second. Roll call, Lori.
Bristol. Yep. Haskell.
Yes.
Rankin.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Haskell.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Bronwyn, can you do number 1?
Yeah, I'm having some problems with my eyes, so if I read something incorrectly, correct me. To approve, motion to approve the Wade promotion. Pardon?
The one right before that, where it
Oh.
says to appoint Dale.
Dale
Excuse me.
Dryden.
Motion to appoint Dale Tritton to the Soldiers Relief Fund Commission for a 4-year term to end on November 10th, 2025.
I'll second that.
And motion second. Roll call, Lori.
Haskell.
Yes.
Bristol. Yep. Rankin.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Haskell.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Rick, can you take number 2A?
Yes. Wade Promotions Contract. A, motion to approve the Wade Promotions Contract for bus advertisement with funds to come from the state grant and allow chair to sign.
I'll second that.
Roll call, Lori.
Rankin.
Yes.
Bristol. Yep. Haskell.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Haskell.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Stephanie, can you do B?
Approve the Lamar contract for billboard advertising with funds to come from a state grant and allow chair to sign.
I'll second that one too.
Roll call, Lori.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
And I was at the, just want to interject this here. I was at the Veterans Coffee Hour this morning over at Hayes Township. And they were talking about the advertising from the state grant and going to billboards and to do bus wraps. And those are going to be, I believe, all local veterans on those.
Nice,
Yeah,
nice.
I would like that a lot.
Take the airport committee appointment motion.
You speaking to me?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Motion to appoint Carl Lounsbury to the airport committee for a 3-year term to end on November 10th, 2024.
Second.
Roll call.
Crystal,
Yep.
Asplund,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Rankin,
Yes.
Casco,
Yes.
motion carried.
Okay. American Relief Funds. You want to talk about that first? Anybody who wasn't at that committee meeting? The committee is recommending that we do approve the video audio equipment because we can pay for it out of the American Relief Fund dollars. And as you will hear, why it's necessary.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and appreciate the commission's time. I'll try not to take too much of it. I know it's a late hour and everyone's getting dinner. And I want to start, I don't like railroading people. I don't like getting out. I like to get ahead of issues. The figure 94,702 was with some cuts that we made to video equipment. I know the chair, some other members of the committee recommended we look into video equipment. I brought that to the judges. They agreed after speaking to the Supreme Court Administrative Office. And I ran the numbers with the vendor. The adjustment would be up to 108,702. That would include all video for all the courtrooms. So
It's the new stuff you didn't put in that you thought you could use the old stuff for that we
Yeah.
talked about.
like I said, I apologize that I'm doing this today.
108, what?
702, yeah, so it's about $14,000. That covers the video aspect of it. So right now, our courtrooms are in desperate need of recording equipment, especially our circuit courtrooms. We've had to delay indefinitely jury trials because of COVID, we have to separate jurors 6 feet apart. Usually we have them in a little box. I'm sure you guys are familiar. You sit next to each other. Lawyers explain the situation. Here, the only way to do it is to get them at the very back of the room, spread out where the gallery is in order for them to be 6 feet apart. We don't have any speakers. And the microphones are really old. So we've had issues in Gladwin and here where the jurors just can't hear what's going on. And we had a mistrial over in Gladwin because we tried to do it, tried to ask everyone to speak up really loud and clearly. And at the end, we did all the voir dire. We were about to set a jury, and one of the jurors raises their hand and said, "I didn't hear anything that happened." In typical Midwestern fashion, too polite to say anything. So the judge asked, "Does anyone else have an issue?" Everyone raised their hand. So they had to do a mistrial because all the work they did, no one had heard any of it. We don't want that to happen again, obviously, and I'm sure Prosecutor Ambrositis can agree that it just need jury trials. I mean, it's just.
That kind of sold me is when you were presenting this to us at the meeting and both the prosecutor and the sheriff said, yes, they need that very badly. So that,
And these would be essential elements, but they're also smart investments long-term. We can use these federal dollars. Some of these microphones are 20, 30 years old. I don't know that this iteration of them will last quite that long, but it will also be investments that will last for several years that we won't have to go to the board for later, asking for funding for them. Like I said, I tried to keep this as cheap as I could. We engaged multiple vendors to try to get a competitive bidding process to make sure we knew what the allocation was. The vendor that we intend to work with, we're still going to put it out for bids, but the vendor we tend to work with came in significantly lower than anyone else we could reach. And I called all over the state and even regionally. So I think they're a good fit. They can hit the ground running with us really quickly as long as we engage the process properly and get the approval and get things moving. So I know that there's a process ongoing, and I appreciate and respect the fact that you guys are gonna spend these dollars wisely and carefully. The only reason we're asking today is because of how essential these jury trials are. We have several inmates that have been, or they're not inmates, they're being held under suspicion, but they haven't had a day in court because we haven't been able to conduct jury trials. And it's getting to the point where it would be dangerous constitutional freedom issues for them. Obviously, we don't want that, and we didn't want it in the first place, but we're doing our best to combat that and get these trials going as quickly as possible. So that's why we're coming here today, as opposed to slow playing it. I think there's some other requests we might make down the road, but we are happy to engage the committee and do that through a more deliberative process, because those things aren't nearly as urgent as this is.
Okay. Bronwyn, you want to read that motion?
Okay. Motion to approve, let's see, that was
We're at motion
Motion
A,
A.
the middle and right up there.
right here, yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Motion to approve the purchase of video and audio equipment for the Clare County Courts with funds to come from the American Relief Funds with a total amount not to exceed $94,702 as recommended by the ARPA Committee.
108,708.
108,702.
108,702. Sorry.
I'll second it.
Got a motion, got a second? Roll call, Lori.
Asplund. Yes. Bristol.
Yep.
Aiken.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Pascal.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
that. Rick, you take B.
Motion to approve American Relief Funds request for form as prepared and recommended by the ARPA committee.
Stephanie, why don't you second that? Okay. Haven't heard your voice in a while. Spit it out.
Got a motion, got a second, roll call, please.
Aiken.
Yes.
Did this
Brown.
Yes.
get put on that?
Asplund.
Yes.
Bristol.
On this one?
Yes.
Pascal.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, good. Okay. Stephanie, will you do number 2, Finance Committee?
You read it, I'll second it.
To approve statutory finance committee meeting minutes of October 18th, 2021 in the amount of $178,921.21, as well as $6,064.79 to pay out Daryl Schenk due to retirement, and $5,030.18 to pay out Lucas Tessner due to resignation, and the minutes of November 1st, 2021 in the amount of $116,200.84 and $1,613.87 to pay out Zachary Paisley due to resignation, and $4,500 and $438 to RX Reigns Companion Life Insurance.
Second.
Wait, I was gonna
Oh,
do
go ahead.
that. Okay, second. Second that.
Roll call.
Brown.
Yes.
Bristol.
Yes.
Aiken.
Yes.
Asplund.
Yes.
Pascal.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Sandy, you take 6.
The expenditures.
Yeah.
Motion to approve the expenditures for the month of October 2021 in the amount of $3,524,388.80, with the general fund expenditures totaling $1,072,157.12.
Second.
Roll call, Lori.
Yep.
Yes. Yes.
Pascal.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay. And Rick, you want to do the last motion?
Motion to adapt the resolution 21-34 supporting the Michigan Prosperity Roadmap Plan.
Second.
Roll call.
I'm sorry, who seconded that?
I did.
Brown. Aiken.
Yes.
Asplund.
Yes.
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Pascal,
Yes.
motion carried.
Okay.
You got one more motion.
Budget.
I'll take it.
Oh, all right.
Approve budget adjustment number 21 to move funds into the new equipment line to cover the cost of the fire suppression system previously at the meeting on October 20th, 21.
Brown. Lincoln. Pascal,
Yes.
Asplin,
Yes.
Pascal,
Yes.
motion carried.
Okay. Lori, you got anything for us?
No report.
Okay, is Jenny out there?
Jenny? She was on here.
Hi, I don't know if you guys can hear me very well.
Yes.
I'm in my car heading to an appointment I already had scheduled. I set some reports out in front of you. And one is basically just an update of the ARPA funds, what has been paid out, what is encumbered, or they've been approved but not paid out yet. And basically as the interim final rule stands, it has also the revenue loss in there, but there's certain items that you spend that will have to come from that number. So I've updated that. I'm sorry, I'm in my car, so it's probably hard to hear that. Then I also just updated the year-end report. That will be the long sheet. And that is unaudited, so we still have accruals to do, some expenditures and some revenues, so that's not final numbers. Right now, it looks good that we have increased. I put some notes down at the bottom in blue so you could see some of that, but those are not final numbers. And then the other one is just my statutory, the current cash on hand, and then what the current fund balances are as of today. So if anyone has any questions or.
These are very helpful, Jenny, and
They
thank
are.
you very much.
You're welcome.
Drive safe.
Thank you.
Watch out for the deer.
Will do.
All right.
Tracy seconds that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Michelle, you got anything to report or
I do.
you tired of talking to us?
I'm a lawyer. I'm never tired of talking.
All right.
Okay, so just to give you a quick update about how things stand in our office. Currently, I have 262 active cases that I'm managing, 24 pending review. My chief assistant has 178 active criminal cases with 14 pending review. The grant funded attorney has 161 active cases with 21 pending review. And assistant prosecutor has 300 cases on her docket with 13 pending review. So if my math is correct, we have a total of 901 open pending cases right now, with 72 cases pending review. And clearly it's because we have 901 open cases. And a new phenomenon that has started since Zoom is all of the courts are now scheduling court like all the time. It used to be that I could count on Mondays being circuit court in the morning and district court in the afternoon. Tuesdays, once for each judge a month being a final pretrial day in the morning with my afternoons open, and Wednesdays being a busy district court day with Thursdays being maybe trials and Fridays being free. They're now scheduling court every single day. We've been in motion, circuit court motion day. We have had a circuit court motion day docket every day this week, except for Thursday, and it's a holiday. And we went till 2 o'clock yesterday, till 2 o'clock the day before. I mean, you can't get anything done in your office because you're in court all the time. And I don't, I get that it's great and fun. We can all get together and do this via Zoom and let's get it all pushed through. But if we don't have office time, we can't get to the stuff that we need to get to. So it's very frustrating to me. And it's my hope that we can maybe speak to the judges about coming up with some solid schedule that gives us some
Prep time.
time. And it's not just us that's feeling the pressure. Defense counsel is feeling it as well. And they're now down to 3 people on the court appointed list. So, I mean, clearly crime's not stopping. It gets busy. So as you heard from Mr. Toaz, there are no circuit court trials through the end of the year because of the equipment. Thank you for voting for that. You know, I supported it during the ARPA committee meeting and gave an example. On the 30th of October, we had the murder prelim in that courtroom to accommodate the 2 defendants, the 2 defense attorneys, myself, and, you know, our team. And the family was present and was sitting in the gallery where the jurors would be sitting. And their chief complaint was they couldn't hear what the witnesses were saying. They couldn't hear what the attorneys were saying. And I certainly know I'm capable of projecting my voice, but they were still having difficulty. So I'm glad that you approved it, and hopefully we can get jury trials going, because we still have some from 2018 that we need to get taken care of. We are proceeding with district court trials. So we've had one post-COVID, and next Thursday, we have 17 cases scheduled for jury trial. And we've been told that all need to be prepared, because if one pleads, the next one on the list is going to go. So that's additional work for my attorneys, obviously. We have publicized the attorney position that you allowed us to have. It's been pending now 3 months, I think. Nothing. Nobody's interested. So hopefully we will get some, I'm hoping, since bar results have come out, that we'll start getting some applications. I also want to let you know, I got notification that our CESF grant was extended and increased to December 31st, 2022. And so they told me I had like $67,000 and some change. And I was like, whoo, where's this coming from and how can I use it? So I talked to the woman today. She was very helpful. The money is specifically tied, the extension money, which is about $42,000, is specifically tied to new hire. And so we talked about the $25,000 that I have yet to spend because we tied it to the attorney.
Right.
So I asked her if I could amend my application to apply to another secretarial position. And she's like, I can do that. So she's going to forward me the paperwork. I will amend the grant paperwork to put it towards a secretarial position. And then that grant will cover the purchase of a desk, a chair, the computer, the phone, the scanner, everything that they need to have to do their job, and will pay for the part-time position through December 31st of 2022. Though I do believe that with the new grant and the hiring of the position, the county's only obligation is to the FICA expenses that come along with the part-time person.
Yeah.
So it pays the hourly wage, hour per hour worked. And obviously for part-time, there's no bennies that attach, but it's just like the FICA and Medicare, I think you have to pay for everybody. That would be on the county. So I have to get that information from Jody, and I'll make sure that I communicate that with you. But I intend to go forward with that, because that's huge. And I know my staff would love to have another part-time person in there, just kind of helping to pick up the slack.
Are we gonna have to build onto the courthouse to fit all your people down there?
No, we got nooks and crannies. We
All
can
right,
put it in.
okay.
We're making it
A
work.
loft, yeah, put a loft in.
And then I'm again going to urge you to reach out to Speaker Wentworth. And in addition, Representative Kale, K-A-H-L-E, it's a representative for Lenawee County. They were kind enough to call me and have a conference call on House Bills 4670 through 4676. And as I've talked to you before, these are the House bills that add productivity credits to those who are given a sentence. And as I've said before, that disrupts the truth in sentencing. And now when victims hear that their offender is getting a minimum sentence, it's a minimum sentence, but then, well, it might not be, it might be 2 years less than that if they complete all of the programming available to them and earn the productivity credits while they're in prison. And I mean, on the surface, it sounds great because you want people to rehabilitate, but those programs are already available. And when we went to truth in sentencing, well, before I became a practicing attorney, the concessions were made to amend the sentence guidelines to lower them, taking into consideration all of the programming that was available. And so they built in that reduction when they reduced the sentence guidelines for truth in sentencing. So that makes sense. So I don't think that this is a victim-friendly bill package. And, you know, I increasingly hear from victims that the system is certainly geared in favor of defendants. And I appreciate that because there's constitutional rights that you're innocent until proven guilty. But once you're found guilty or you plead guilty, then I think there needs to still be consequences and justice for the victim. And we keep whittling away at that. So very passionate about it. But go ahead and read those bills and please reach out to them and voice your opinion. And hopefully your opinion on those is no. Okay, so unless you have any questions, thank you so much.
Thanks, Michelle. Okay, John had to leave. Jesse's not here.
I'm here.
Oh, are you? I thought you had to go.
Yeah, no, I'm on the road going to a basketball game, but I thought I better talk to you.
Jeez, we're not lose anybody to a deer tonight.
Well, do you got
Yeah,
anything to give us?
And we're going across 61, Deer Alley, so.
Oh, yeah.
No, just, we're busy. We did get 2 dispatchers hired. They started, one hasn't started till the 15th, one started this week. I look forward to, one has prior experience with the local fire department, so understands geography and some of the other stuff that goes along with that. So we're hoping that he can move along faster through the FTO program. I do not have any applications for the road. We reached out to the academy down at Delta there, and I take that back. We did get one from a guy who's a surgeon that's interested in working part-time, and he's running for senator. And I'm like, he wants to come here and work, but other than that, we're getting everything ready. Plow wise is, I know that's kind of my other part-time job for the county is plowing, but everything's ready there, Tracy. We had Barry Wallace go through the front end loader. We got the new pusher for that. So we're all set with that and all the salt. I could probably talk for an hour, but I don't like to talk and drive because I tend to go out the road.
Well,
Don't do that.
Yeah.
thank you and be safe.
Yep. Good luck Monday too, Jeff.
You too, John.
All right. Bye.
I'm up. East Township. They passed they won their election. They passed, they got their blight. You guys, got anything figured out on that yet or too new?
Maybe next week.
Huh?
They'll know maybe next week.
No, maybe next week.
All right. Other than that, this meeting's too quick. I haven't been to any meetings, so, got nothing. Nothing else. Dale's gone. Rick, you got anything?
Hold on one tap.
Been sick. Stephanie?
Nothing.
Of course. Okay, but they're little short sentences. All right. The veterans, this is a big one. The veterans ceremony is tomorrow, Veterans Day. It's at 11 o'clock. And we're getting another statue. I think it was put in yesterday. Yep. And it'll be a big event. We'd like people to come out. Representative Wentworth and Senator Outman will be there, and they're having a donation. Is that correct?
Charter Spectrum.
Oh, Charter Spectrum. Okay, but they'll be there as part of the celebration. So it's going to be pretty exciting. And Carl Hauser, I talked to him, and he's very excited about this too. And I did attend my first Veterans Coffee Hour, and it was a hoot. There were a lot of people there, and boy, they had stories to tell. And it was a very, very happy time. It was really good to see so many veterans. And okay, I just have one more comment about the apportionment committee. Never in my life would I have imagined so many ways to violate the Open Meetings Act. I learned a lot, okay? Addresses on the ARPA applications seem to be very important, and this is like reports from my townships that had to turn in those forms for the ARPA money. And if they made any mistake on the forms with the addresses, they got sent back. So you have to be real careful about that. Tell your people, but maybe they already know. In Hamilton Township, Finette Laboda retired from clerk at Hamilton Township to move nearer to her grandkids. And that is a big deal. If you know Finette, just a wonderful person, did a great job. So we're gonna miss her. The siren doesn't work in Hamilton Township because when they moved it over from where it previously was to behind the town hall, some wires got pinched. And that is a big deal to have the siren going. So they're working on that. Sheridan Township is getting a web page and has a solar and wind power committee. And I was, did you know that? Oh, I was ecstatic when I found out. It's like, oh, that's awesome. And then hazard mitigation, one more reminder, on our county webpage, there's a place for a survey that citizens, we'd like them to fill it out, and it's about the hazards, just about different hazards that they could report on. It's a short survey. So that's it.
Sandy already talked to you about the veteran statue and Veterans Day tomorrow. We've got a lot of great veterans here in this county, really great.
Yeah, and
so-
women veterans too.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Hazard mitigation, she already talked to you about that, so. Okay.
All right. So
You want to go first next time? We'll do it.
you've got the pamphlets for the state of the budget. And do we have any other public comment?
I have nothing here.
Shall I present this? I have public comment. I would just like to point out that with the assistance of another elected official, we did some checking. And it is my understanding that your meeting minutes aren't always posted to the county website in accordance with the Open Meetings Act. And it is also, I have found that the clerk is not the one who does the postings to the website. It's actually your administrator who does the postings for the meetings to the website, not the county clerk.
Are you talking about,
It's not the administrator, it's IT that does that.
yeah, but are you referring to the postings on Friday, October 29th?
I'm talking about your board meeting minutes. I'm just pointing it out for your
Yeah.
information.
Sure.
As I stated
In the spirit
earlier,
of Transparency.
Yeah.
Sure.
as I stated earlier, I would like this resolved without a big to-do, simply because I find that we're not perfect either. You're exactly right.
Right, everybody's human.
Right.
And these times we should all find a lot of grace and proceed with a smile in our heart.
Well said.
All right. Any more public comment? Okay, unfinished business, none. New business, none. Right.
Happy
Oh, we got
Thanksgiving.
7 minutes.
I gotta go.
Thank you.